Hey folks, Jonathan here. New day. We're going to start on the Studebaker gas tank and trunk floor and try to get something done today, and just depends on how many calls I get, how many times I have to leave. UPS finally delivered this tank at about 8:30 last night, and this is a 55 Chevrolet tank, and what we've got is it's 25 inches wide and the fill is at the back corner. Now this is going to be a really tight fit. You know, this tank actually originally used straps, and we've got to do a little changing on it. I'll show you the tank that's under here. As you can see, it bolts front and back on this side, and it actually bolts in the center on this side. But as you can see, there's no clearance between the tank and this wheel well, and there's really no clearance over here. So this tank might be a little bit longer, and I don't think that our 55 tank curves up right here. So it's just going to probably be, you know, a little lower in the back right here, which is not an issue, but the filler neck has got to be located exact because it comes through a hole above the frame and below the body into this corner. So we may have to move that on that tank. It's going to be a pretty tight fit, but you know, the difference is that tank was $72 free shipping. Like I said, this tank was $450, and so it's worth the time and the trouble, and we'll still end up with a good tank. The outlet for the tank is up in the front just like this one, but it's just up a little higher, so we can definitely work with that. So first thing we got to do is get this old tank off, which will probably be fun anyway, and I guess we'll go from there and see what we get figured out. Okay, I figured while I was here I need to go ahead and show you the floor work that needs to be done back here and across to here. We've got one place there, and then we've got the bottom of the spare tire carrier, which is normal. The good part is all this is still good. You know, the rubber's not good, but you know, there's no rust at all around this anywhere, so there's no issues with that. And we should be able to cut these panels out. We'll just hammer them out, and we'll show a little bit that on video. We'll probably just come up a ways until we get away from these thin stuff. And I think that's about it. This is supposed to have two pieces, this and one over it. As you can see, I've got crap everywhere. Over here, it's part of the body mount at the back. So, pretty solid on this side, but we'll get this side figured out. Alright, okay, one more bolt. We got it hanging down, but I just wanted to show you. Here's the hose down in this hole, the filler hose. I don't know what it is, but it's turned into something that it wasn't. It's like a gummy rubber now. Anyway, we keep fighting this thing out of there. Okay, here's our tanks, about the same width. This one might be just a little tiny bit wider, but I think we can work with it. And this one's a little bit shorter, but again, that's not an issue. We've got our filler neck out. We don't have a lot of room here to play with, but it'll help us out some anyway when it comes to the neck, because this neck is angled back just a little bit, and this neck is straight as an arrow. But we should be able to work with it if we can find a piece of hose that'll go over it. And what I'm going to do, well, one thing I'm going to do is that neck right there, I will take the cap off, clean it up, and then I'll probably run the sandblaster through it to get anything inside that neck cleaned out before I, you know, stick it all back together. But I'm going to wait on the floor, and the reason I'm going to wait on the floor is I'm going to get the tank mounted, and once I get it mounted, then I'm going to take it back down, and then I will do the floor and then put the tank back up. The reason I want to do that is because I actually had to take advantage of these holes here to get some of the bolts out, because they're tough to get to. So we're going to try to make it where we don't have to do that, but it'd still be nice to be able to use this as reference and to get through. Hopefully we don't have to do any modifying to get this neck through there. But okay, very, very close. The way that this bolted on is one bolt went through the tank here and one bolt went up there. So what I'm thinking about doing, we can work with the tank over this way just a little bit. I think I will make a bracket out of something a little heavier, grind this powder coating off the tank, and the bracket I want to be the full length from here all the way to that bolt, and then weld the bracket to the tank and then let it bolt on. I'm not quite sure whether they used this bracket like they did over the bottom. It don't even look right, like maybe somebody, I don't know, I don't reckon they fabricated it, but I like the way that one is straight up. But we're just got the levels of what we've got, and like I said, the tank can go over some. The neck is a little bit too straight. I think I'll cut a V out of it and bend it, back just a little bit, or bring it back just a little bit, and then weld it back up. And that's one of the reasons why I like new tanks, is because never had fuel in them. You can weld them, change them around a little bit. So let me see the other side. This is how it mounts on the other side. It's got a bracket on spring, and this goes through the inside of the trunk at the spare tire carrier. So we'll figure out what we're going to do on this, and you can see where they have added a brace in to help sturdy this tank, and that's the exact reason I want to do it on this, because if you mount to this thin stuff, the shake and vibration, it's going to crack. So what we want is the piece that we bolt to be heavier, and then that piece to get as much contact area on the tank as possible. Because if you contact in just a couple spots, it's going to crack around them spots. But if you get the full length and weld it on, you won't have any issues. To maybe get our neck cut. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. I can't really. Let me see. Look up there. Yeah, there's our neck. There's our neck. I think we could possibly work with it where it's at. Really needs to be back just a little bit to come through where it's supposed to come through at. Yeah, it can go up a little bit, so we'll be able to get that for sure. Alright, this is a drive shaft. Here's something I used to do. I used to do exhaust work, and it's got a little tiny drive shaft on it. But used to do exhaust work, and this is something I used to do to every vehicle that was rear-wheel drive that I've done work on. So if you ever see one with an arrow pointing toward the back and it says front, you'll know I was there. Okay, I think you can see that, and maybe see what I'm talking about on this neck a little better right here. Let me see. Anyway, we got on this side, the back side of the neck here, and as you can see, there's a body mount right here. So this is going to run into that body mount. So we're going to V that, and we're just going to turn it back a little bit. Angle's fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's actually angled up just like the other one. We just need to bring it back just a little bit. Okay, I decided I'm not going to use this double bracket that goes on here and over to the tank. I didn't like the way it was made, and we need to strengthen the edge of this tank anyway, so I actually came up with a pattern right here of we'll make it out of a flat piece of steel, and then we'll get it bolted in, or the holes drilled to where we can bolt it in. I can do a little bending on this end of it since this frame comes down a little bit, and bolt it in up there. And then what we'll do is probably clean and tack it to the tank and take the tank down, and then weld at the edge of the seam at the top of it, probably full length. Okay, so we got it cut out of steel. Now I wanted to cut this out of 3/16, but I didn't have any. I had 1/8 inch or I had 1/4 inch. And we had a saying back when I tractor pulled it was, when in doubt, go stout. So we just went with 1/4 inch, and it won't never break. We got one side done here, and of course it's not welded, but I mean we've got the bracket fabricated, and that was our main part. Now I did bend it here to bring it down with the frame. Okay, we got this one in place where we want it, and I've got to clean it up and get all that powder coat off, and then we're going to run a bead down it. The good part about this, and you know, this is how I like to work. When I'm done with this is going to bolt on, and we're not changing anything on the car. We're not drilling any holes. We're going back to the factory mounts. So later on, if somebody had found an original gas tank, let's say this was a little nicer car and somebody was going to restore it, which, you know, I don't think will ever happen, but they would be able to take that gas tank off and put an original back on if that, you know, if that's what they choose to do. So that's why I like doing stuff like this without changing what we're actually working on. So, okay, we got our neck redone, and it's actually tilted forward, and it's actually tilted up a little bit. What I ended up doing was cutting it off and welding another one on, and I didn't cut it all the way up, about a 1/2 inch from the tank. And we got our plate welded on, and now we got to do this side, but I'm going to go ahead and see if it'll fit it up in and make sure my neck's going to be okay and everything before I go any further. All right. Okay, test fit went pretty well. It's in there, it works. I don't see an issue. It'd been nice if this was back, so if I can get where you can see, but I wish this was back a little bit farther on the tank, or I could have tried to maneuver the tank back a little bit farther, but would have helped. But it's going to be fine where it's at. Okay, since we got this done and we got that mount done, we just got to get the mount on this side done. You can see the bolt holes, and they're actually oblong. And then I've got this bracket. So what I think I'm going to do is make this to where I weld this to a piece of that 1/4, just a narrow long piece. Okay folks, we got the bolts in, got the bracket on, and got the piece I cut on, and I'll show you, maybe you can see it. I've got it clamped. You can see this 1/4 inch piece right here, and I've got this 1/4 inch piece welded to that bracket that bolts through the holes. So what we'll do now, since we've got it clamped where it can't move, is we'll take it down and weld that, probably, like I said, full length. Alright folks, we've got our front wheel cylinders that they had sent me the wrong ones. We got the right ones in now, and we got our fuel pump, which is a good thing. And it sure looks right. And we'll get that on there. Brand new. And it wasn't that expensive. You know, you'd think with having a sediment bowl and stuff, I think this was 40-something bucks, and you figure a sediment bowl by itself at Napa is $20-something by now. So I didn't even want to attempt to use this one, so we'll just get it on out of the way and get the new one on, and won't even take a chance on it. So okay, braces on. You can see I welded it the entire length, and I'm gonna get to work on the trunk now, I guess, and once that's done, we can bolt the tank back up permanent. Okay, so we have this basically cut out how we want our piece of sheet metal cut out. So what we're going to do now is just go ahead and cut the steel out, and then I'll lay it in here, and then I'll mark where I want my indentions at. That's got to be hammered in it. Okay, now we're just going to mark out where the lines need to be and how far back they need to come. And of course, this is not a nice clean piece of steel. It's actually rusty, so it matches the rest of the car, right? It's thick though. I'm going to take something with a little bit of a straight edge here to run these back. They don't go back all the way, so that's good enough. And now we'll take it over and stretch it. And all we're trying to do is stretch this. And when you stretch this, of course, it's going to bend the whole plate. So then you got to straighten the plate back out. But it's not hard. It's actually so simple that I kind of feel bad even showing anybody, but we're going to do it anyway. Alright, that's all there is to it. You just do that 3 times and you're done. Let's go see what it looks like in the car. Okay, you can see it matches up really well. And you know, this is thick metal, so the more you grind this, you get this thing smooth as you want. You can make it look original, but you know, we're not so worried about that. We'll do a little bit more rounding and flattening off, but that's how you do it. It's pretty simple. We'll get these done, and then we'll go through and cut this, and then put this piece in, and then we'll work on this corner. I think I'm going to call it a video. We're about to run out of space on the camera here. 3 minutes left. So anyway, tomorrow night, hopefully I'll have the video post. We'll have this finished, tank on, start running the fuel line, fuel pump on, and that'll be our fuel system, and then we can jump to the brake system. And hopefully maybe by Saturday we can drive this thing. At least, you know, move it around pretty good and have some brakes anyway. Alright, well, I appreciate everybody watching, and till next time, bye. And when you're beating on this steel, just use whatever you've got. Vices, pipes, if you got an anvil. I've got an anvil in there, but I don't use it that often. This is 1/2-inch plate. I used the hood of my wife's car. It's got a lot of dents in it, but I told her it was hail damage. But